Welcome to the Photographer and Model Podcast. I'm Ron Davis.
And I am Shawna Renter. And today we're going to review Kevin Connolly's portfolio.
Kevin Connolly. Not to be confused with Ken. Somebody else. Completely. It's Barbie's boyfriend, Ken.
And Ron's too on the weekends.
That was Ken's problem. If Ken hadn't been gay, the whole thing would have worked out with Barbie, but it didn't work out. So now she's got all her Barbie friends, but she didn't have Ken. They still make Ken? Because you probably know that because you're a girl. Girls keep up with that kind of stuff.
Right, and so because I have ovaries, I have this direct connection to Mattel. You know, I get almost like emails sent to my brain. Guess what's new with Barbie?
Uh-huh.
You know? So
You're saying that like it's not true.
But I can't tell you. Obviously because you're a boy.
Oh. That's how it works.
That's how it works.
That explains a lot of things. I did hear that, Barbie probably really wanted to go out with G.I. Joe the whole time anyway.
Right.
So that was the whole problem with Ken. He was just a little too mamby-pamby.
Right, he wasn't manly enough. He wasn't a real American hero.
That's right. Not like G.I. Joe.
Right. And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe.
That's not G.I. Joe, is it?
From the show.
Is knowing half the battle G.I. Joe, or is that like Spider-Man or something?
No, they had the PSAs, remember? On the show, they had the PSAs, kids don't play with matches or whatever, and then G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle. And knowing is half the battle.
I do not remember that.
I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
Shawna is a bigger geek than I am.
I am.
Shawna's geek
I have
cred is
superpowers.
way higher. So do you, dress up and go to conventions?
No, I probably should, though. I always want to dress up as Harley Quinn.
That's a cool one. I've seen that one a number of times.
Mm-hmm. I think I would make a good Harley Quinn.
Now, what color is Harley Quinn's hair?
Well, usually she wears the little hood thing, but otherwise, her character is blonde.
Blonde? I didn't think she was blonde. I actually thought she was redhead, but that could just be Ron's,
right.
Ron's thing.
That could be Ron's thing.
Yeah, Harley Quinn. That would be interesting. You sure you didn't want to do like Laura Croft?
Yeah, I prefer Harley Quinn.
Laura Croft has guns.
She does. She has what guns? Remember we talked about this before.
Yeah, I'm sure we did. I was thinking Desert Eagles, but...
No, we had this discussion before. Remember I told you in the movie she had the HK-USP 45 match?
Uh-huh.
And then you were like, no, she had the Desert Eagles. And I said, no. And then you looked it up, and I was right. Should we review some pictures?
So, Shawna, what's the next gun you're going to buy?
The next gun I'm going to buy...
What gun are you lusting after?
I don't know, that's tough. I've always wanted an MP5.
That's popular firearm. Yeah. So, if you were going to purchase your next weapon, would it be a gun or a sword or some other weapon?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I can always go for a really sturdy long sword.
Don't you have long swords that are really sturdy already?
Ron, that's like saying, don't you have guns?
It's true, but okay, I completely get it now. Forget it.
Right.
Forget I even asked. Yeah. So you want another sword?
That would be nice. Or a nice Chinese double edge. Probably a northern style.
You think maybe we should look at Kevin's pictures? And I read the last one. You get to read this one.
Oh, the profile, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, first, stop. Read
in the
me.
name of love.
Was that your and Ken song? Anyway, read me. If you have a site-related or moderator-related question, please use the Contact Ahmad Cam link below. Sending a private email will result in delays and may result in your issue being overlooked or ignored.
Or pissed on. Because I kind of had the feeling that maybe Kevin has gotten just one too many emails sent directly to him.
Right. I almost feel like there should have been like a big FU, at the end of that.
Oh, I should point out that one thing I noticed about Kevin's Model Mayhem profile was he has a number lower than mine. And I don't know anybody who has a number lower than mine. Not that there aren't close to 3,000 people who have lower numbers than mine. But his is freaking 72.
Right.
That is a low number.
Right. So he's like one of the OGs of Model Mayhem.
So he apparently has been around for a while.
Excluding currently scheduled projects, I have a limited availability before mid-November 2011. That said, I'm working on my Inside the Box project. See my avatar and some examples in my other portfolio link.
Not in your avatar.
And I'm looking for models for that. If you're interested, please drop me a note, and we can see if we can work something out. Huh? Just kidding. Just kidding, Kevin. I'm a part-time professional photographer with experience in various fields of photography, having worked as a full-time wedding and portrait photographer in the past, as well as a part-time newspaper photographer covering sports and concerts. At this time, my day job in photography is traditional portraiture, but I'm trying to expand into the fashion and commercial arenas. Excursions into goth, glam have also appeared. If you're interested in those areas, please drop me a note. I also teach digital imaging to photographers, from digital workflow, pre-captured archiving, retouching, color management, color correction, and the like. I provide in-studio, individual, or full staff training depending on the needs of the photographer, as well as organize periodic group workshops and digital imaging workflow. It's not what you say, it's what people hear. And then, banner. Okay.
For Wicked Talent, which is like an alt model
Right.
agency-ish.
Okay, so I think that's good that you put your availability right up there in bold at the top. You know, it saves some people some trouble and that sort of thing.
One thing to point out about that is it is mid-November now.
Right. You mentioned the Inside the Box project.
And your avatar is not from Inside the Box.
Right. And then you got your link to that. Okay, and then you've got that you're looking for. Okay, you're trying to expand into fashion and commercial arenas. I think, you know, if you might want to put some more specific things that you're looking for. Say, oh, I'm going for this. I have maybe these concepts I'm working on or something. I know you've done that with yours.
Yeah, I have. And I try to keep up with that
right.
too, but it's actually, you know, the thing I was making a point about his avatar is I've done that too. I'll change my avatar and stuff, or I'll change things, and then like I'll have stuff in my profile that I won't even know no longer relates because I don't look at my own profile enough.
Right. So, you know, because I mean, obviously, if you say I'm trying to get into commercial, I mean that's pretty, you know, ambiguous. I mean, you might want to be a little more specific, I would say, as far as that goes. Let's see. I also teach blah blah blah. So, I mean, that might be one of those things. Maybe you want a link to, like, if you have a page, you say, I teach, you know, you can put a link to there. Otherwise, I'm not sure if you're trying to invite photographers to contact you or what. And then it's not what you say, it's what people hear. That just seems like it's just kind of floating there to me.
It really should probably be knowing it's half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
It's important to put the G.I. Joe part so that when people read it, they learn.
Right. Well, because when I see the G.I. Joe, I automatically go, G.I. Joe, you know, instead of, yeah. So.
Okay.
On to the images.
So there's his profile. We've picked out some images. This is just a sampling. This was from a series of 4 images. Oh, I didn't even realize it was Zen until just now. Zen Star. She's a great model. We've had her on the podcast. And this is his Inside the Box project. And if you go back to episode 118, you can see like his whole portfolio for just that project. And it's a very interesting kind of project art idea. Feelings, thoughts?
I think it's good that he's got, you know, an image in there from that, so people can say, oh, okay, yeah, that must be the Inside the Box thing. You know, and that's kind of a neat image. There's some interesting things going on there. I mean, obviously, it's not going to do a lot for the model in the sense that
she has a box over her head.
Right. But otherwise, you know, from your perspective as a photographer, it's a neat little thing to have.
So, Shawna, when I start my unknown model project where they wear a bag with the eyes cut out, like the Unknown comic from the Gong Show.
Mm-hmm. Well, if I'm going to have a bag over my head with the eyes cut out, I want to be holding a pistol and a bag of money in the other hand.
Okay.
Anyway.
We can do that.
Headshot. Go.
I picked this one because I thought it was very dramatic. It caught my attention just from the thumbnail. That direct look into the picture, the interesting composition where she's up in the upper thirds in both directions. Mm-hmm. It just reached out and grabbed me. So I liked it.
Right. It's an interesting headshot. Nice composition. I think obviously it's going to work for the model as well. It's something that, especially if she's into acting or anything, that's a nice actor's headshot. I think.
Yeah, I didn't really know she was wearing camo because it's black and white. Camo doesn't work when it's black and white, I don't think.
Because it's
It
camo.
only works when it's green.
You can't see it. Huh?
Okay, we actually picked 2 pictures to talk about. This one and this one because of the color.
Right.
And you kind of brought that up first, so...
Right, because color draws attention. And so that's one of those things, especially if you got a lot of black and whites or, that sort of thing in your portfolio. If you've got some images that just have really bright color, people are going to look at them. Right.
And you obviously, are using the color and thinking about it and using it well, and it really makes the pictures pop, and that's cool. I really like that. And actually, this one got picked as well because of kind of the color and the texture.
Right.
That the blue kind of grabbed us in this image, which is actually kind of monochromatic other than that. I mean, even I think the brown of the paneling there has been brought down. Right. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm kind of thinking. And I will say that this model, you have like 3 or 4 pictures of her in there, and she caught my attention. And I was like, well, we could use that picture, but it's mainly because the model's catching my attention, not necessarily because the image is different. But then we saw this one, and it did both. So, very interesting image. Another great headshot, and it combines the use of color, which is why I grabbed it and threw it in there.
Right, and the model has a nice expression. There's personality in the picture, so it's like I said, it's good for both. But also, people like to see, especially in something that close, you need to see emotion in the model's face of some kind. So I think you guys both captured that well in that.
And I do think it is also important to always put the planet in your location.
Right.
But most especially when you're talking about Las Vegas, because I'm not actually sure Las Vegas is on Earth.
Right. Well, we have interviewed Vegas aliens.
That's true. And he's not even from Vegas. And I didn't mean to click that, but that's an interesting, actually, desaturation with some color covered with chocolate. See, now I have to say, no, if it's chocolate, it should be chocolate. And I think it was ENX that had the image of the woman covered in chocolate, like in the pool. Right. That's covered in chocolate. I understand you're using a brown thing there, but that was covered in chocolate.
Ron feels cheated. That's just what he's saying.
And this image, we probably weren't going to pick. We were going through your pages, and we got to the last page, and we were kind of like, most of these images look like they're your older stuff, and you could probably just do without them. They're just kind of plain. And we saw this one, like, we're going to pick this one up. Oh, but should we talk about this one? Should we not talk about this one? Blah, blah, blah. We started looking at it, and we had our own little discussion about it. We were like, oh, I guess we should probably talk about it.
Right. It's a classic icon, which is, really...
Literally.
It is, exactly. That was a literal statement, which is really cool. So it's a neat concept. Really, it's very theatrical. Keeping that in mind, the only thing that I had really noticed in that sense was that one of the, actors, characters, model, whatever, is, very, very theatrical, like, the guy's playing Satan or whatever, and that's really cool and dramatic. Whereas, the other actor's just kind of like, oh, I'm stabbing you. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a little unbalanced, I think, in that sense. But otherwise, I mean, it's a neat idea. Yeah,
it is a neat concept, and I wonder if, like, the smoke is a practical effect. Same with the fire. I don't know. I actually thought the smoke almost assuredly was, but I would kind of expect some smoke to come over onto the actors, and it's not. So I don't know about that. The ring, I don't know if it's supposed to be a halo, but the fact that it goes behind him completely didn't really work for me. I kind of expected the halo to kind of go around his head, which would mean part of it would be in the foreground and part of it would be in the background. But that was just Mr. Photographer getting picky. But it's an interesting image, a very interesting image. This one we put in there because my thought was I understand what you were going for here. I'm not sure you got there.
Right. Yeah, it's, obviously we can see the concept and everything you're trying to go for, but maybe a little bit of a miss.
Yeah. I mean, you got some expression with the model. She's obviously a character. I just don't know that whole image ended up working. It didn't work for me, but whatever. This one I tossed in there kind of at the toward the end. I don't even know if you know I popped this one in there, but it's very interesting. Just it's very dramatic. The black and white and the dynamicism of the movement itself and the big white space down here. That was awesome too.
Right.
I thought it's a really good image.
Right, it's very difficult to capture movement of dancers and acrobats and that sort of thing, but you did it in a very creative way.
Yeah, I went and shot at the Renaissance Fair this weekend. I was shooting belly dancers, and I probably shot like 150 pictures and got like 10 because it's just so hard to catch them like without hair. You can see how her hair is flying up in the air, and it's hard to catch them without like their hair coming in their face and all that stuff.
Or especially if they're doing anything that's very very straining or acrobatic, you don't want the strain on the face.
Right, you want the which they may have that. It's those things you won't even see it before you hit the shutter, but then you're getting that 1/60th of a 100th of a second or whatever it is you're shooting at. And you kind of think, well, if I was going to shoot her, I'd just make her hold that pose, not actually do the dance. So, and this one we put in there because I looked at it and thought, that could be a really great image, but I don't know that it really is.
Right. It looks like you were trying to go for like a Barbarella sort of thing, which is, that's a neat concept and everything, and there's kind of a neat costume and everything there. But it just looks like the model didn't really know how to deliver that to you. Like maybe she just, she's not acting. Basically, since this is a character, she needs to be in character, I think.
Yeah, and I thought she looked kind of awkward.
Right.
The angle of where she's pointing the gun, her expression is what you were talking about there, where she's not. Why she doesn't look like she's shooting somebody.
Right.
And kind of her pose. It just didn't seem to. It kind of twisted her in a weird way to me. So this was one I didn't really think worked. But you've got a lot of interesting stuff in your portfolio, Kevin, and you've also got the inside the box stuff. You might actually even put more inside the box stuff in your main portfolio, and maybe take some of your older stuff out. But overall, good, and you have some really dramatic, really good images in here that work really well. So that is our review, Kevin.
That's it for the podcast. I'm Shawna Rencher.
And I'm Ron Davis. And until next time, y'all keep creating beautiful images of beautiful models.
Yeehaw.
This is episode 119 of the Photographer Model Podcast.
When we're Shawna and Ron, review Kevin Connery's portfolio.
Welcome to the Photographer Model.
Can't do it.